now listening to Limited Trust, a Devastator podcast. Let's get into it.
Episode 5, Limited Trust, Devastator podcast, the special Halloween edition. So if you notice, which you most likely did, today is not Friday, but it is Monday. And I figured this would be a good time to share the paranormal story that I was putting in the poll, or whatever you want to call it, the list of topics. Now, I was kind of thinking about it, and because this is a true story that did happen to me, it's kind of fucked up, so I don't know if the quote-unquote Halloween episode is probably morally right for this story, but hey, it's a paranormal-ish kind of story. So I just figured, well, anyway, you be the judge. So this story is going to start probably 20 years ago at this point, maybe 21 years ago, because I wasn't driving, and my mother has owned and operated a not-for-profit animal shelter for my entire life, like in the city from when we moved to before I was born. She's always rescued animals, got them back in good health, and found them good homes, and that's been her life's work for as long as I can remember. Like, our whole house in the city was crazy. Like, we had a Capuchin monkey for most of my life. Reptiles, fucking everything, cats, dogs. At one point we had 20 dogs. It was crazy. And I think a 16-foot Burmese python named Brutus. He was pretty cool. Anyway, so she would, and she still does, do adoptions at a pet store, a large big box retailer. And she's one of the groups that comes in and does adoption. So I used to go with her, because this place is back in the city. When I moved out to the middle of nowhere, I'd go with her to kind of use that as like a waypoint to get with my friends, or to go with another family member or something and leave from there. So, and most of the time I would just end up hanging out with her there all day and just, I don't know, fucking around writing raps all day. And so we would take 104 in, which is a east-west road that travels like parallel to the Lake Ontario shoreline, I'd say. I mean, at certain points it's closer than others, but anyway. So we would take this from Medina all the way to Greece, and it's like 50 miles, I'd say, our part of the journey. And so we're driving, and I'm just, passenger kind of style. And we kind of watched this car. It was a Chevy Caprice headed westbound. It just kind of like slowly crosses over. It was far enough ahead where it wasn't like some big, oh man, he's coming into our lane. It just kind of slowly came over. Almost looked like he was trying to do that, because of how easy the motion was as it crossed the oncoming lane, crossed over the south side shoulder off into the road, and fucking smashes head on into a tree. There's like probably 4 trees at the time right in this little block, and it kind of just happened slow. So my mother and I were like, oh shit. And it was a pretty significant crash. I mean, he was probably going 50 or 60 miles an hour. So my mom pulls up. She's got 2 puppies in the back and like 2 cats. So we both get out. We're the only ones there at this point. And she starts walking up to the car, and it's smoking. It's about to start on fire, I think. I'm not really sure. And all the doors are pinned. They wouldn't come open. And she said, "There's a kid in there. There's a kid in there." And I kind of froze, because I was like, I wanted to tell her, like, just, I don't know, man. The whole thing didn't look safe. The car was making all crazy noise, smoking like crazy. So then people started to stop at this point, and she's a tough lady, man. She keeps trying to get this passenger door open. The whole front of the car is just caved in, and she's like yanking on this door, and she did like that superhuman mom strength kind of thing, because this dude came up to her and like tried to stop her, like put his hands like on her back, and she was like, back the fuck up. So then I'm like kind of in the cut, like, yo, I mean, I don't know, maybe he's right. So she busts this door open, and it comes open. I was shocked. I was like, oh shit. And she gets in, and the passenger seat, and I could see her. So now I'm like walking up. I'm now, because this dude is now trying to get involved. Now there's multiple people stopping. Car is like actively on fire at this point. Just not like engulfed in flames or anything, but it's on fire in the front. And she's saying he's pinned inside. His legs are pinned. I gotta get him out. And she's like trying to get this kid out, and he's like, it was real bad. He wasn't all right. His legs were I don't know if the whole bench broke or snapped in the impact, because his legs were all like fucking twisted up underneath the under the seat, in between like the bottom of the dash and the steering wheel. And he was like kind of bubbling at the mouth, and he was smoked, man. It was fucked up. But he was on the way out though, because she's like, he's making noise, and I'm standing there, and she's like, and then all these people are coming, and these two young kids, they were teenagers, they were older than me, but they walked up, and I was thinking, oh man, maybe this guy's gonna try to help my mom. And doesn't this motherfucker stick one single hand in with a digital camera and fucking take a picture, and then turn around and walk away? And I'm like, what the fuck? And my mom's like, watch my dogs, make sure no one steals my dogs. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I'm looking, and my mom's got her arm around this kid. He's dying, and he's totally wrapped up. There's just you couldn't get him out. They'd had to cut him out. So she puts her arm around him, and she just starts like running her fingers on the side of his head, like comforting him. And she was talking to him in his ear, saying, help's on the way. And at this point, the fire department has showed up, and they're fighting with my mom, like, you need to get out now, you're gonna be arrested. And she's like, no, he's still alive, he's still. And she just sat there with him. And then I do believe it was some sort of police, like, we're like, you need to get out of here and let us do what we got to do. Well, anyway, he was dead. This kid was dead, right? And we're like, what the fuck? So we just get in our truck, and we're like, kind of can't believe what just went on. I felt like a total fucking sissy, because I froze. And it wasn't the first time I'd seen someone like a fresh dead person, but for some reason, man, I was scared. I was like, either I'm gonna die, my mom's gonna die, we're both gonna die, this fucking car is gonna explode, or she's gonna be trapped in this burning car. And and this was about two-thirds of the way there at this point. So now we're on the way back, kind of like in a daze, like, oh man, what the fuck? My mom's like real upset, and she was like real upset. And so we get to the pet store, and all these people, because now we're late, and they're like standing there waiting for her as we pulled up. And she's like, we're talking real nice. She's like, I just need a minute. We just went through, something just happened. And they're like, well, where were you? My cat, blah, 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 blah. So then I started talking shit like a little bastard that I was. I was like, you guys need to back the fuck up. So kind of this little back and forth starts between me and these fucking asshole people. And my mom's like, why don't you go cool off for a minute? I was like, all right, I will. And I felt bad. I could tell that my mom was real upset. So I walked down the road a little bit to the mall. The mall is right there, the Grease Mall. And I started walking around in there, and I was like, maybe I'll get something nice for my mom, something just to make her smile, because I know she's real upset, because the kid wasn't that much older than me. And so I got her this little bear, and from the Hallmark store. I don't even think that shit's there anymore. And it was all I could afford at the time. It was just this little bear, and it had like a little heart, like a heart necklace kind of thing on it, or a little name tag or something, and it said Pookie. And I was like, I like this. I was like, but I don't like that, because the first thing I think is fucking Chris Rock in New Jack City, the crackhead, right? So I was like, all right. So I bought the bear, and I took the little heart thing, and I just kind of like twisted it over and flipped it over, and I gave it to her when I got back. And, she was real upset. And on the way back, or no, excuse me, I actually skipped a part. So on the way there, or after the accident, on the way to PetSmart, there was a sign in a front yard of some business, and all it said was like a little yard signs. It said thank you, which was like weird. And she's like, look at that. And I said, wow, that is weird. So I go and get the bear. We leave. We head back home, westbound, later on in the night. The sign's not there anymore. It's not there. Like, there's where the sign was. That business, I don't remember what it was, like a fucking furniture store or something like that. Not there anymore. Kind of weird, right? So I'm like, oh, that's strange. That was something, right? So I don't know, 2 days later, day or two later, the kid's obituary came out, and it had his funeral date, or the wake and the funeral and everything. And my ma sees it, and she goes, oh, he was only 20 or 19 or something like that. And the wake is on West Avenue, right down the street from my aunt and uncle's auto shop. And she's like, what do you think about me going to this? And I said, yeah, I mean, we could do that. I said, I'll go with you. So when the time came, we went, and we get to this. It's like an old kind of funeral home, an older one in the hood, and we like went downstairs. We definitely stood out in this crowd as the two white people that were there. So everyone was kind of looking at us like, the fuck are these people doing here, man? And we're like, oh shit, cool, man. So we came up, and I'm like, it was real sad, man. Unfortunately, it wasn't the first kid's funeral that I had been to, I think, at this point, but it was messed up. So we my ma's like, she's like, I think that's his mother over there. And she's like, I feel like I gotta go talk to her. It's like, yeah, you could. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. So my ma goes over, and she says, are you, I can't remember the kid's name, are you his mother? And she said, yes, I am. And my ma said, can I sit down with you? And she said, yeah. So she sits down with her, and she puts her arm around her, and she says, I was there when the accident happened. She said, I held your son just like I'm holding you right now, and I talked to him, and I talked to him until he passed. And it was real sad. It was a real sad thing. And the lady and she said, I held him as long as I could, like how I would want someone to hold my son if that happened. And it was super intense, and I was just on the pew over across the aisle, kind of watching, not really watching hard, but like just listening and paying attention. And they hugged each other, and then my mom looked like, should we go up and pay our respects real quick? So we did. So we go up to the front and up to the casket, and they got the photo boards and stuff, and and we're both kind of, we do our thing at the casket, and then we're kind of looking at the photo boards, and on the fucking photo board, it said the kid's name, my first, last name, with a big picture of him, and his fucking nickname, in quotes, it says Pookie on it. What the fuck, right? And I pointed that to my mom, and she's like, you don't know what I'm talking about. She's like, I said, look. I go, look. I said, that name is on the fucking little necklace of the bear I got you. And she was like, I didn't see it. I said, I flipped it over. And I tried to explain to her why. I don't even think she ever seen New Jack City. So we get home, I flipped the fucking thing over. And it was like crazy because all the little bears, all the little stuffed animals, all the little bullshit in the whole mall. I picked this single one on some shelf in the back of the Hallmark store, probably the cheapest one they had, it was like $11. And it says Pookie on the fucking name tag. That shit was crazy. So that's the paranormal Halloween story here. I know it's not, some crazy plates flying off the shelves and I moved into a haunted house kind of thing, but that always kind of stuck with me. Those strange, I guess to a skeptic, it would be just coincidence. But that's kind of that's a pretty specific coincidence. And that sticks with me, and ever since, every time I drive by that tree, that row of trees, which I think 3 of them are gone now, and the only one that's left is the one that the kid hit, I always wave. And you can ask anyone that's ever been with me taking the 104 corridor. When I go by, I wave, and when I go back by, I wave, because I don't know how that stuff works. Like maybe he's still there, and wondering why everyone just keeps driving by. So I always wave, just say what's up. And yeah, shout out to the Bat for making the artwork for this episode, and shout out to everyone that keeps listening and supporting and sharing. It really means a lot to me, and all your kind words, everybody. It doesn't go unnoticed, and I really do appreciate it. So I'll see you Friday. Later.